Well, look what I just pulled out of a new box. Son of a gun. These are the 2016 versions that have some changes. I'm not sure all yet what the changes are. But obviously there's some changes to the cover. And I hear tell there's some internal changes. We're going to take a look inside and see for ourselves what's different on the 2016 version of the Husqvarna 562 XP. Now this one's slated for a pop-up piston, but until I get a look inside, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this saw. I hear tell that the cover modification helps a lot on the hot start issue. Notice how it's cut out here, the way I've been doing mine. I haven't made that aggressive a cut on mine. That's actually more of a slot than the ones on mine. I've just been leaving the hole up there with the decomp out. But that's actually a fairly significant cutout. I might be adding that to mine at some point in the future. Take a look at the serial number of the caps and things and see if there's any change there. Okay, 5846217-1/2. All right, they've got a different number on these caps, and they don't look that much different. I don't know if there's a difference in that number or not. Boy, it's hard to tell if there's a difference or not. I do know that over the life of the saw, they upgraded the pull starts because the early ones were having trouble if you pulled without the compression release. I'm not going to take that apart. I'm not going to look. I'm going to do as little as possible to the saw because I want to do as little possible cosmetic change to the saw because it's a brand new freaking saw. Of course, I always have trouble with these things. I just have this aversion to, doing anything to a brand new saw. But that's what people want. So that's what I'm going to do. The cover is definitely different. There's definitely a change there. A little closer inspection of the cylinder, obviously it has some subtle changes in the way the casting is. Like it's a little thicker up here than here. See how narrow that is as compared to this? So I don't know if that's a sealing issue they were trying to fight or what, but that's different. The other thing I notice is there's very subtle differences on where they have the fins or the surface area from the fins. For example, right here, you see where this boss is? The fin goes all the way out to there. Where here it's recessed a little bit. Notice there's a boss there. Not there. I wonder if it's a different supplier. I see there's different markings here. Very subtle differences. This looks a little fatter in here. Subtle differences. I don't know if that's wear from the plate. You got fins here, but not here. I'm looking at these caps, and there does seem to be a really subtle difference in the shape of those things. But I don't know if it's because of the casting with these numbers versus not. Like that slope looks just slightly different on this one. Does that matter? I don't know. Of course, engineers rarely do things without a reason. And notice there's a little less fin here. There's a boss. There's not a boss, but there's a little cutaway. The other thing I noticed, kind of makes me laugh, is see that gray stuff down there? You've got goo gasket underneath the conventional gasket. I looked at a piston, and you really couldn't tell much difference by eye. And I also looked at the carburetor, and I don't know if this will give a good clean picture, but it's an EL48. Those are nice and tight. Obviously, the later cases. So the cases don't look like, at least externally, you can see any changes from the last generation of cases. And that's good news to all those people who bought the versions of the 562, you know, that have the 6-screw cases. I don't see any reason why this cylinder couldn't retro right back to the earliest version of the saw. Question is, why would you bother? Not sure there's a reason to. Been having fairly good luck. See, I wonder if they had a leaking issue right there, and that's why they added some material right there. So, I mean, is this... I guess what this looks like to me is minor changes to the cylinder, and they're probably doing two things. One is they're addressing issues they had in the first version, maybe from leaks. See how much thicker this is here than the old one? So that's actually a significant difference on this section. I'm not going to put a degree wheel on this. I don't have time. But it is significantly different on the intake side. That's a change. So yeah, I'm seeing subtle changes. You can see the difference in here too with the bosses. But it looks like to me what you have is slight changes in the thin surface area, and without knowing what those guys were thinking, I can only speculate. You know, I speculate what they're doing is they're trying to even out the heat when this thing is at steady state, and that's probably about trying to mitigate the differential expansion and contraction. I mean, that's just a guess around sealing issues. And the reason why I'm going that direction with it is because that's special. You know, gluing on those gaskets, I guess you could, there's one of two reasons. One, it might be a production thing where they just got to glue them on for a period of time, or they're looking for extra sealing, and I don't know which. I can't tell you which one they're thinking about, but just observe and report. Now the question I have is on this saw here. Do I remove this gasket and glue gasket and do what I've been doing in the past with the older saws? Or do I actually trim the cylinder base like I've been doing recently along with the skirt? That's a question that I have to answer, and I don't know what I'm going to do yet. It's one I got to sort of settle on for a little bit and then make a decision. I mean, I'm inclined to take that base down, like, you know, the thickness of that gasket. But now you have seen a 2016 model year, or the newest and latest and greatest Husqvarna 562 as of 2016. And it looks like they've made very, very subtle changes. And they're probably about heat and sealing is my guess, and that's gasket sealing. But, you know, it's what Husqvarna does, you know, is they take their product and they improve it and improve it, improve it, and engineer out issues, you know. And this last video I did was the 2012, which ostensibly would be the least desirable version. But I can tell you right now, that saw is a runner. That is a running son of a gun. So a guy like me, a hobbyist, I just assume have a 2012 and hack it than one of these brand new things. Because I just have this big aversion to touching brand new saws and making modifications. I like to take them when they've been blown up. I don't know. It's just not right to me to take a brand new saw like that, and I don't recommend it, but it's what, you know, this person wants me to do as a favor, so I'm going to do it.